All right. And we are on the air. Welcome back to another week here on This Week in Search, which belies itself. I guess it sounds like a news show, but it's not really. It's just us talking about whatever the hell we went through this week, you know? So I guess we'll go around the room. Ammon, you're on my far left, so you might as well introduce yourself. Tell everyone what you've been up to lately.
Well, right now I'm boiling the kettle, which is why I had my mic muted. But what have I been up to? I've been writing, actually. I've been writing lots and lots of notes. I am seeing if I've got the will to put together a book on basically everything.
A book. Yep. Oh, so essentially you're just going to take like 1 week's worth of your answers on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then you've got about 10,000 pages. Okay, well, that should be easy enough for you.
Exactly. It's not the quantity of the writing. It's getting a flow that really helps the reader, and that's the tricky bit.
You actually have a, like, I'm not, without being joking around, but you have some, like, is it like I just know you so well. Is it, I'm going to guess it's not fully an SEO angled thing, but more of a business internet marketing sort of approach thing, or what are you doing with it? What's the approach?
Yeah, it's everything you should know as a basic for internet marketing, whether you are a manager who's taking it on for the first time, or whether you're an SEO who needs to know what he's got to do with the client. So the very first thing we're doing is talking about getting the goals right, knowing a business plan. Whether it's your client or you still need to know that those things are there, know what the business is about, know what looks like success to this business, and then from there build the entire campaign, the metrics and everything else around those, because that's where people go wrong in the first place.
Yep, I can see that, man. It totally suits you. Totally suits you. What are you giggling about?
Oh, no.
Oh, she's giggling about oh no in my screen here. We're on the air now, but thank you, Tanya. You're looking good. I know, she's dyeing her hair. Just for everyone out there. All right, Blair, tell everyone who you are and what you've been up to lately.
Well, I'm called Blair. I do client SEO, I do affiliate SEO, and I also bought a house to fix.
That's it. And he's got a link addiction that we're going to have a little bit of a thing for him later on. Hey, Chris, you're up next, buddy.
Yeah, I'm Chris, local SEO, just finishing off a couple of client projects.
And that's it, man. Well, you really need to go and like register a company or something, so you know, and build that company website out next time. It'll be handy. Real good. Just saying. But if you need to find him, just come talk to anyone in the SEO Training Dojo and Blair's. Yeah, sorry, Christopher's always there. Darren, you still with us out there, brother?
Yeah.
He's still there. There he is.
Slowly getting back in the mix. Hey, yeah, my name's Darren. Into local SEO. I've been doing it for, I don't know, a year or so. I suck at it. Here to learn. I come to the group with a bunch of problems, and hopefully it can learn and fix stuff. And I'm willing to, help out where I can too. I think I'm good at sales, but yeah.
And he's going for the entire Jason Bourne look here, apparently. He's going to be your SEO fixer, man. He's coming with
That's
a gun.
right. The front end, more the back end, but always open to learning. So thanks for having me.
All right, Kevin, my brother.
Yeah, the born link there is that after enough time digging around the back end of Wix, you completely forget your own identity and name.
All right, Kevin.
Kevin Dory. I am the SEO for Dealer On. We do automotive websites and local. And I've been prepping for the conference schedules as they open up. So it's been a fun week of travel and trying to convince the corporate that we're not spending too much money to go places and talk search.
Definitely. And yeah, good luck with that, man. And as always, anytime you get something, let us know. We'll be all over that for you. All right, my Canadian Steven.
Steve Bonin, Harris Web Creative. This week, I've spent the whole week on WooCommerce, and I've been building it with a Divi theme, and I got to say they go together pretty nice. You can it'll build pages for you, or you can build them yourself the way you want and put whatever you want in them, and it's kind of awesome.
Yeah, it's good. And Mr. Steve G. God, I could almost put my own thing in here, but I'll just let it go.
Oh, man.
That didn't even sound right, bro, but we'll just move on from that.
I
Yeah, Tanya's
appreciate it. I appreciate
laughing over here just from the shit I just said, so.
Yeah, just keeping busy this morning. Spent the whole morning crunching numbers for one of my analytics clients and discovered he launched yet another product without telling me. So
You mean since yesterday, or was it the day before or whatever when you were using it? Since then again.
Yesterday. He's done it again. I just saw it in analytics and it had like 3 visits to the new site. So yeah, I'll be having a phone call with him this afternoon. His rate's going up.
Yeah, it sounds like me and Darren over here.
Not that it makes the job any harder or take, really all that much more time. It's just the hassle of having to chase behind it.
And since apparently, and because I'm getting paid a commission, ladies and gentlemen, that is Steam Driven Media is where he works, because apparently he does, my favorite marketing guru over here doesn't even promote himself. But so I'll just put that out there for you. See, and I was about to say, I was about to say I'm going to stick that in for him, but then I went, no. Okay, Gary.
It's been a stressful week here on the farm, so my mind's not 100% on work.
Nothing a smoker won't fix on the weekend, brother. And we know what comes with the smoker, but we'll just leave that there. So, yeah.
That's it. We're having the retreat.
Mr. Van Horn, sir.
Morning or afternoon. Last week, let's see, what did I?
And he's Terry from SEO Training Dojo and SEOpros.org. Go ahead, sir. Apparently, that's my job now.
Website builders, case technologies. I got 1 million of them. What week is it?
So what have you been doing?
This week, I've been working on some pages for a while where I had kind of just text on a page. So what I did was I kind of boxed it up and changed the display and changed some scheme on it. And seems to be getting better click-through rate. And it ranks better. Now, I ain't saying it's because of anything I did.
No, because you're just so zen-like. When you touch a website, things just get better. You don't even know how. It just happens magically because you are that way.
Watching the nightfall, it's like that.
That's right. Yeah, you just dream. You just dream about things, and the rankings. And
holy grail.
All right, Tim. Last but not least, my brother.
Well, watch this. So I'm Tim calling from A Servant's Heart Web Design and Marketing.
Oh, look at these, get the click going. Oh.
This last week I've been working, as Steve mentioned a few minutes ago, on converting a site to WooCommerce, and just fighting the good fight, discovering a bunch of new stuff still coming in Google My Business. Some things that don't work, or some things that are a surprise. There's a checkbox now for notification for receive notifications for questions and answers on your Google Knowledge Panel. Doesn't work yet, but there's a checkbox now for it. And there's also a new thing that has popped up, asking you, if you are viewing it on a search results page, what year did you start your business? Apparently, it's going to be featured. That information will be featured now in your Google Knowledge Panel. So I could spend my entire.
I don't know what to do now, but just shut the Hangout down, because you just made everybody look bad with that intro.
No.
Had the name, had everything else. A couple of useful tidbits. Like, really, people are going to start to expect this from us every week now. You're just making the rest of us all look horrible.
What I've learned is I write about these things, and then immediately Mike Blumenthal and Joy Hawkins go out and write about them, and they get covered, but not me. So.
But he brought up local search, so he did the smart thing for the rest of us, Dave.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, the shots are coming early. I like it. That's the way we should be.
Yeah,
no, get to work, man. Yo, Monkey, wake up.
Okay, I've been trying to get people to talk about it in the chat room, but no one seems to answer me. But I got you two guys here now, okay?
Okay.
I've looked at WooCommerce, I've used it, and excuse me, it made me puke. Just wondering why you chose it over like some others that Dave and I have used, OpenCart, which is for me perfect because it's programmable by me.
I can speak to that a little bit. For one thing, it integrates with the LMS that we're already using for the site.
Letters mean.
Oh, sorry. Learning management system, video online education system. There's an integration for the one that I'm using with WooCommerce, but there's not one for the other e-commerce, solutions.
Right.
And also,
you realize, though, right? You realize that you could write that little piece of code to integrate the two, and you would own that. You would own that for OpenCart. You would have basically a plugin.
And you know what? I'll probably look at that at some point. That's a great suggestion.
My point is, right? I really respect you as a developer, so it's not any way to do with that. That's why I'm partly picking your brain, trying to understand it, because I've always found that OpenCart was much easier to work with. And now it integrates with WordPress. So I'm just trying to figure out why WooCommerce over it. That's all.
I will have to look at OpenCart again. Absolutely. So
yeah,
for the moment, it was the quickest solution. And I appreciate your advice about it.
Yeah, because I've been looking at the and done a WordPress with OpenCart.
And I think Terry, a lot of times it's just really people that know WordPress. It's easier for them to just do that instead of trying to put hooks into the OpenCart, which isn't that hard to do, but.
Yeah, but now you can buy themes just like you would for WordPress.
No, I know it. And then you got to just build a couple. There's actually hooks out there for it, but I'm just saying it's just a little less work for a lot of people. That's just saying. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Well, there's a good point there. It is pretty easy to implement with WordPress. So, I'm probably the oldest guy on the call, and I'll tell you, I like easy these days a lot.
For sure.
Agreed. Well, and Terry, I use just about every e-commerce program out there. I've got clients on 5 different programs now, and it really does come down to what's going to work best for the client, in my opinion. In a lot of cases, for them, WordPress is where it's at. They've already got a WordPress site, and all we're doing is slipping in a handful of products. Then it makes absolutely no sense to go with it.
Right, because then you can have to it. Like if Steve, like if my company's sticking around to manage the OpenCart, then that's I totally agree because it's a lot more flexible and do more. But if you're walking away from it and just building it, then the client's jumping back from this admin to that, and it can be troublesome for them. Like I know people that literally, we took them off of Wix last week. Emin sent me the project, and she's terrified. She's like, I've tried WordPress before, I just can't figure it out. Like she literally can't figure out WordPress. Never mind, like going from WordPress to OpenCart and back and forth. Like that would drive her nuts.
Be running their own website. Somebody to manage it for them.
That's terrible.
Plain and simple. And I've got one of those clients coming in now.
So what are you guys saying? What are you guys saying? It depends.
I said that to somebody last night in a chat about a new project on my website. Like, well, the answer is it depends. And I smiled.
The other thing is, as far as client training goes, I don't know if you looked at that course, Tim, but it was $18 and 11 hours on, and it was right from installing WordPress to multi-site WooCommerce implementation. I mean, $18, and you give it to the client.
And I that's actually one of the reasons why I went out and bought it, to look at it to see if it would make sense for them. This client will be taking over the site. It's a little unusual in my situation, but they'll be managing it and adding classes and dates and things to it. And So yeah, I'm trying to keep it simple for them.
Same here. My client's going to walk away with the site, and they're going to be updating it.
We'll see. The client is also beginning to realize that SEO might be important later on. So
They're selling things on the internet.
Yeah, my client has written complete descriptions into the title tag.
well, you know, someday they might include the entire title tag when they do searches. You never know. So
35 word titles.
Well, you know what? That's not all that uncommon.
But yeah, you know, I mean, again, like it's always so situational with this kind of stuff. And again, like, you know, like I said, I got a client right now who's terrified of freaking WordPress. Never mind, like, you know, throwing a WordPress together with an open cart. Like, I'm with you, Terry. Like when you and I are managing projects, or like, you know, me and Katie have most of the projects I have with her, you know, she manages the website, I manage the marketing, and my client just does what they do. I mean, they go out, they go to trade shows, and they manage their business, and they do what they do, and they leave it all to us. You know, when you're in that situation, for sure. You know, I totally, you know, I mean, like WooCommerce is, you know, it doesn't have the flexibility or all the tools that you would get with something like OpenCart, but you know, it's really situational. Unfortunately, it's the way it goes. Some clients just can't handle that. So
understand it for a few products.
Yeah, we're you know, WooCommerce, I always say up to 100 products, 200, even these days, even 10 is like, you know, a couple hundred products, fine. But, you know, you start to get into, you know, a serious e-commerce situation. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be running a WooCommerce. That's
and this is in fact the situation that we're talking about. In my case, is a very small number of what WooCommerce calls products. They're actually live training classes. So the guy does online training and also, I mean, with video courses and live classes that he does around Southern California, different locations, different dates. So, but all in all, it's like 20 products or something like that. So maybe 30. But he's selling tickets to events, really, is what we're doing with it. And he doesn't want to give 30% to eBright.
So the interesting thing when you're talking events, are you doing schema in WooCommerce for the events?
Not unless he's willing to also talk about SEO, which he's thinking about. But I'm not going to. I mean, I quoted him a price for building the site, not for adding a bunch of very sophisticated SEO. Partly because I like this guy, but when he first came to me, he said, "Well, I'm the only choice in town for these things." I was put off a little bit by that. So the short answer, not so much, Steve.
Mm.
All right, so Mr. Steve G, sir. One of the first places I wanted to go today was something that you and I both kind of started thinking about at the same time earlier this week, and which is keywords. You know, like I'm guessing, you know, a lot of these groups and places people are in, I mean, that they're affiliate guys or whatever. And so they're using keyword tools and getting 1,000 fucking keywords and all this bullshit and running through these other bullshit tools and somehow think that they're going to actually target thousands of fucking keywords. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. So, you know, I'll get my bit, and then Steve, please run with it, because I know you and I were, you know, well, you started talking about it, and I've been thinking about this for like a year. Steve, I literally thought I was an idiot, because most of the clients I have, there's about between 10 and 50 keywords that actually matter. You know, that could be including stemmings or, you know, modifiers and shit like that. But beyond that, like, because every keyword has a price, because you got to create content for that keyword. You got to go out and build links or whatever. Every keyword's got an associated price. So anyone who's sitting around, what's your favorite keyword? I'm like, keyword tool. What? You get something that gives you 1,000 fucking results. How are you going to do it? You're not. So yeah, I was wondering that. Then you had brought it up somewhere. I think it was in one of those other groups. And then I mentioned it in the dojo. And it turns out everyone's pretty much like us, Steve, that they're not actually. So I don't get it. Anyway, so I'll let you go from where you were starting to think about this week. So, and see what everyone else thinks.
Well, I mean, going back to where they're getting this idea is, I mean, a lot of these people are still on places like the Warrior Forum. still exist, and they're everywhere. It's not just them. So they're getting a lot of bad information from people who learn that information from the other people who were there, and they wind up in these big echo chambers. And so they're all doing it. They're all doing the exact same thing. And since they're all seeing some form of success, they all think that's what works. And this has been one of the ongoing hardest things to train out of people, because when you search on Google, you use keywords. And until you have a client that starts doing AdWords, they don't get it. Like I have a client who would work, when I took over their AdWords account, they were bidding on 28,000 keywords. And I showed him for the last year before that I took over that out of those 28,000 keywords, 28 of them actually gave him customers. And that's when the light switch went on. Yes, you can rank for all those keywords. And yes, there's that long tail hockey stick thing sticking way the heck off on the right end of the thing where you might get a sale. But at what cost overall? How much effort did you put into finding that keyword, determining that keyword, setting it all up, writing content for it to maybe possibly get a sale 4 years from now, when you could have put all that effort into the 1%, 2% core theme, which is why I prefer to think about keywords as not words, but as themes and topics, that if you put your effort into that, the rest sorts it out just fine automatically these days.
Kind
And
of
it
like
doesn't
an
even
80-20
require
rule.
you to think about LSI.
Well, and I don't know if you touched on it because I just ran to get a drink because that's how I roll. But if you got an informational site, fine. Like Eric Wu could come in here. He used to be the head SEO for eHow. And in his situation, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Because you've got thousands of different iterations of how to, why would I, this and that, questions that could be asked. So that's totally different. But the average commercial situation, I don't run into it. I just don't. Like, you know, and half the time the client already knows coming in the door what those terms are, and so you're just kind of looking at stemmings and modifiers and things of that nature. It's going to be, you know, an informational or a transactional modifier, things of that nature. But yeah, I don't run into it, dude. And it's like those aren't what make money. Like you can grab all those long tail stuff, but are you as an SEO going to pay your weight with all that stuff? No, because you're not going to make enough money for your client for them to keep you around. It's those head terms. Okay, Kevin, let me throw it at you, because Kevin, you've got a pretty large, automotive industry thing. You know, do you have the head terms that make the money? Do you really worry about those hundreds of long tail things that may or may not, work for you? Because I know you're in a bit of a larger situation. Like Terry and I used to work with Auto Trader, so I know that but even then, even with Auto Trader, there was always those head terms and the ones that were important to move stock and to move stuff that we really focused on.
Yeah, we focus on the head terms because a lot of it's automotive, but it's the dealer level, so it's local down to the brick and mortar. So the head terms are important, but we also go after the long tail for people from a local standpoint. What are they searching for? That might mean more relevancy.
But
like, we don't handle it the same way.
Do actual keyword research at any point to say, that this tool told me that this thing's popular, I should go there? Or do you use your analytics? Do you use past experience? Do you talk to dealers? Like, are you using
we use all of that. We still do keyword research depending on if it's a new manufacturer or a new location, but we do the keyword research based on past. We do both. You start new keyword research just to make sure you're not missing any gaps, but you do leverage the fact that a Toyota dealer in North Carolina and a Toyota dealer in
You've got historical
Washington,
data that's going to give you a sense of what direction to go in.
Exactly, but we try to keep on them to do the keyword research so that they're fresh with it, with the idea of understanding that things evolve, and sometimes people are searching for more stuff.
Well, I'd like to jump in here for a second. I mean, I do keyword research every time I build a site. I basically do it for a couple of reasons. People in an industry call a widget. But when you go out there and you find what people are searching for, they aren't searching for widgets. They're searching for doodads. And until you do a keyword research, you don't know that the general public is calling it a doodad. And especially when I'm working into a new industry, and I don't know the industry at all. So I don't know what their terms.
No, but if you look at the competitors in that space, like if your client gives you a few head terms, you can now go look at all those query spaces, like Terry likes to say, SERP out, and you can look at those query spaces. And I swear to God, within 20 minutes, if they're dumb enough to put keyword meta tags and stuff like that, within an hour, I can go around a bunch of competitors and figure out what the terms the terms that make money in this space are, and like Steve was saying earlier, then you can run some AdWords on a few of those and start to get a sense with some broad match or whatever, what's actually going to make you money. Like, what I mean? Again, I don't remember the last time I plugged keywords into a tool per se,
But
everyone's got
sure,
their own approach.
Whether you go and find it from competitors or if you just use Google suggest or whatever, it doesn't matter. And you're right. 50 keywords, boy, that's a lot.
Yeah.
If you're going after 50 keywords, you're going to get 2,000 out of a tool, and just look at them, and you cut them down to. I probably cut them down to 20. But the other thing, and I forget, I think it was Steve that was saying, you go to AdWords and you put your AdWords through analytics and you set up goals and you just look at these 200 keywords that you're bidding on that just cost you $3,000 in the last quarter, netted you absolutely zero people looking at your contact page. Nobody contacted you. Nobody even cared to contact you.
So that's why I always like PPC working with SEO, because you can find out which ones actually are going to make you money.
And so you cut out the keywords and you say now you can up your bids on the words that make you money.
Well, I would ask Bill about what he thinks about keyword research, but we all know he loves his LSI tools, and so.
I did.
I know you're late to the party, man, but we already know what you're gonna say. So
I did have a client who was spending $100,000 a month a few years ago, who dropped PPC completely and switched over to SEO, and immediately started breaking records in terms of return on investment in traffic from SEO.
That's it.
I
see this so often. I see these, what's your favorite keyword tool in these reports, and I get 10,000 from this, and how many you're tracking 1,000, I have 100, I have this. And it's so bizarre. I've been doing this 20 years, and I could probably, again, if it's not an informational site, like a kind of a more broader base where you're doing constant content generation, I don't really find myself that often getting into situations where I need hundreds of keywords. It just doesn't happen.
Well, I think Steve's point, though, is valid from a standpoint of if you're moving to a different client and you don't know the industry, maybe you don't spend hours doing keyword research, but a tool might give you an understanding.
So let me. So,
like, case in point,
can we define keyword research then? I don't use a tool. Again,
I'm okay with that.
I'm going to look at, competitor websites. I'm going to look at analytics. I'm going to look at history. If it's a brand new website, they just woke up in the morning and decided to bring that website in and they don't even know anything, well, they wouldn't be my client anyway. So
right. It's just, I think when he said widgets and doodads, the thing that popped up was like, if you're not in automotive and you're new to automotive and you come in and you have, let's say you have a client who goes, why don't I show up? This manufacturer makes me say pre-owned. Mercedes is case in point. Mercedes, you can't use the term used cars on a Mercedes website. It's against their brand. They won't let you do it. But everything's called pre-owned. Well, no Mercedes dealers who have used cars
Kev.
show up, but you wouldn't know that.
I will give you I will give you an exact example of what you're saying, though. I worked with Auto Trader, Volkswagen, shit like that, and I was dealing with used cars, new cars, stuff like that, okay? And then I got a project with auto parts guy, the guys who, part piece stuff out. So I don't know nothing about I'm not a gearhead, right? So I don't know nothing about all these pieces and parts. But still, within the meetings I'm having with them, they're telling me what have the highest profit margins. What's the end of line stock? What is the stuff they got to get out of the warehouse? These become my keywords. Do you know what I mean?
Right. No. And
again,
and
how am I going to go to this client who knows their website, knows their product, and stuff it into a tool and come back to them and say, oh, here's what we should be doing? No, they already know what they want to move. They know what the product they want to move.
But by the same token, what if they don't know and they turn around and go, well, we think
then you should find a better client, because if he doesn't know his own business, no, I'm kidding.
Right, but you have the luxury of the consultant aspect of being able to choose your clients. If this is somebody who is, let's say you work in an agency or you work within a bunch of other consultants, and you get your client when you get your client, at a certain point in time, especially, I think we've all dealt with the client thinks they rank for this and they want to care about this. And then you can show them that more people are searching for that. And that's where it helps. And I'm not advocating a tool.
See, to a degree, though, I still think about that at more of a content side of things, whereas my client still knows what he wants to sell and what he wants to move. Now, if that's not working necessarily right away, I have to take a secondary angle, like some evergreen content or things like that, to get some links and boost to rise the boat up. Maybe, but I generally don't. I think my clients tend to know what they want to sell and what they need to move. And
no, it's not what they want to sell, but how are their people getting to them? So, like, if they don't understand that maybe people aren't looking for their name or aren't looking for this or vernacular. Let's take automotive out of it, and like you're talking with lawyers. What if nobody's searching for the law, the actual law?
Don't get Bill started.
No, but what I mean, the vernacular, like trying to understand. I'm not saying. I think if you didn't do keyword research, back up. I'm bagging myself up. I do keyword research, or I have my team do keyword research if they don't understand things and they're looking for more information, because in those situations, they're not going to call the client because it's a different relationship. And that's just like, you can reach out to your client. You've had the meetings and you understand what's going on. Now take this to the next person down the line. If somebody had to pick up and do with what you're doing, and I didn't want to reach out to the client and make it look like I didn't know what was going on, then I might do a little bit of keyword research. Not saying use a tool, but doing it to have a better understanding.
I'm gonna let you go in a second because I gotta go. Sorry, room. But Kevin, I think we just found your next presentation. Anyways, go ahead.
I'm gonna. How you can say 10 keywords for a client, never mind a product, I don't know. I mean, I deal with a mortgage company where we've got 100 terms for specific mortgages, and
but the way Google works these days, the stemmings will fall in your basket. You know what I mean? Like after Hummingbird and stuff. Like what I meant more was the core terms and stuff like that, because then the stemmings and the transactional and the modifiers and things tend to fall into the basket a lot of times. So you're not specifically looking for every iteration of it. That's just me.
Right, to that point.
The financial industry is tough. It's like the porn industry, the pills industry. You're dealing with mortgages, loans, stuff like that. You need to be specific. You can't expect it to fall into the bucket because you've got too many affiliates out there who are building pages for every single phrase. You either go hard or you go home.
Yeah, from payday loan work, I definitely agree with Eamon on that.
And ideally, your client is your subject matter expert. They're the ones you should have discussions with during a kickoff meeting about which words they use and they don't like. I worked with Harvard Business School, and they did not want to ever see the phrase continuing education on their website. It was executive education, and that's whom they were competing with other schools for.
They saw it as their differentiator, so they didn't want to confuse.
The dean was his word was law.
Yeah, I've had clients like that.
Go ahead, Eamon.
I've had clients like that. What I tend to do is put a little mark somewhere that just is a little thing that you can, like those little question marks that you get the help tip up box. If you do a layer, you can put, this equals this, and there's the term everybody uses in that. And it's not visible to the client unless they, hover over the term to see what it means, but it is in the page. And that used to work very nicely. Of course, now Google's looking at view states a lot more carefully.
Yeah. What about you putting it in schema?
Oh, same as.
Well, again, like even the Hummingbirds, like so many queries got that's what happened to eHow. Like I remember talking to Eric Wu with eHow and stuff, and once Google started, like he used to literally create a question for every iteration of that question, right? how to fix an automobile, how to fix a car, how to, you literally had to, you could do that with Google. Now they start to lump them all together. And there's not the need for that sometimes, Bill, you chimed in yet? I wasn't here. I'm just causing trouble, by the way, boys. This is like when Terry, when Terry and I used to have client meetings. As long as we just argue with each other, we come up with the right answer, and our clients love it.
What Eric Wu was doing referred to in Google patent as referring queries. There are query terms that a site is trying to be found for. And they were saying if you have a ratio of links and unlinked mentions to referring queries, referring queries were bigger than the links and linked to mentions, that was a sign of low quality. Because you have all those how-tos.
Yeah, because you remember back in the day, eHow used to be like as bad as Wikipedia and eBay. You know what I mean? They were like at the top of every bloody SERP, right? And then slowly that got phased out.
They were trying to rank for every variation of how to do anything, how to boil water, how to freeze water.
I was going to ask one question, but I have one example too. I just did a lawyer site, and in Canada, we call the common term is a living will, but that's not a thing here in Canada. That we call it a power of attorney for personal care. And my client was like, it's a power of attorney for personal care. But everybody here in Canada uses the term living will, the same as they do in the United States. So my other question is there the schema same as? Can you use that on terms?
If you're using words in schema that you're not using on the website, that's potentially trouble. You're sending inconsistent messages. It's sort of the equivalent of keyword stuffing.
But if you take a term, I'm trying to think. I think it's called a keyword. Schema has keyword, and then you can use. Can you use same as?
Same as is to describe one entity being the same as another one.
Oh, so it's only for like organization or local business or something. Right. I've used it that way.
Facebook profile, Twitter profile, it's the same as company. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it doesn't apply to terms. It's more about other entities that are the same as.
Right.
Yeah. Unless the only way I can see that you could use that would be if you created an entry for living will as a product and said this is the same as, and then you link it across to the power of attorney thing so that they can see, right, this policy is actually that policy. That's what it's properly called. You kind of do it like a canonicalization in a way.
Okay, but you've never done that, Ammon, like in your financial world.
You have to obey by all kinds of rules, but you also have to find ways around them. What we used to do, let me take insurance as a product. Everyone knows insurance. Everyone looks for home insurance, life insurance, except under the UK's Financial Trade Commission rules, you weren't allowed to use the word insurance. You had to call it assurance. Nobody searches for assurance. So what you had to do was list the product as assurance and either, point out that it's also known as insurance, or you would put in client reviews, customer reviews, things like that, where they're using their own language. And of course, they are going to have called it insurance. And that was the only way around basically the federal watchdog that said you can't use this language yourself about yourself on this product.
And you never found a way to connect the two terms using schema?
No.
What about inclusion in something like FAQ pages and that kind of thing? Are there other are there other words for assurance, for instance, insurance?
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I would look in FIBO.org, Financial Institution Business Ontology. for legal terms dealing with loans and mortgages and financial services to see what they say about schema related to things like assurance and other because there may be some things in there that add that precision that you want to achieve.
Yeah. Sometimes these things are very, very tricky. I swear some of these watchdog bodies just throw banana skins everywhere. Which brings us to why Ono's in the chat this week. There you go. We have our banana peel expert.
Yeah, okay. That is completely your fault, by the way, Evan. So I'm sorry. Once Ono started taking my job and stuff, I figured I had to at least let him start sitting on these hangouts just in case local ever came up. I wanted him to be well versed in all of this.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for Ono's nuggets.
All right.
Send me his email address.
No, don't mess with me because I will create Ono at SEOtrainingdojo.com. I will fucking do that. Don't mess with me, bro. No. It'll just be a whole bunch of emails coming in from Ammon, of course, which I'll have to find in the spam folder. But
is it a link monkey? Wait.
Yeah, it's my link monkey. Yeah, we were talking about Ono the other day after your show. Yep. So Ono is going to be hanging out with us from now on. I've literally already ordered him from an SEO Dojo Training T-shirt so he can, take over.
Are we going to get Ono's nuggets?
Yep. For sure. What other fun did we have out there this week, Steve? God, I know there's a few things like that. That was an interesting one. Thank you very much. And I'm just a shit disturber to get the best out of y'all, so don't mind me. All right. Well, I got so many notes here. Voice search? No, we did that. Disavow list capacity. I think we did disavow on Ammon's show the other day, so I think we don't have to do that again. Plain and simply, folks. Okay, I'll just reprise this one quickly. I think Steve was involved in this one too. Somebody was on one of these groups on Facebook, and he was like, "Well, I've got all these bad links coming into my site, and I'm not going to bother disavowing it because it doesn't work." And I was like, "Well, why doesn't disavow work?" And he said, "Well, because I had this other site, and I put a bunch of links on disavow, and my rankings didn't go up." Okay, folks. Pretty simply, that in forensic terms means that you didn't have a kind of a penguin problem or anything like that, because if you did, then you might see some, but no. So and there was another thing by Barry Schwartz, I guess, touching on that, which was John Mueller in the most recent hangout was talking about disavow and how you can get to a max limit, but does anybody here that uses one? I don't know if you guys do, but has anyone ever disavowed an individual link? Because I'm pretty sure if a crappy link's coming from a website, I just disavow the entire domain. I don't know.
Right.
That's just me.
Yep.
It depends.
If you don't trust one page in the site, why would you trust the rest of the pages?
Because it might be like a GeoCities or a WordPress.
Back to GeoCities again, Bill? Twice this week? Man, you're missing it, aren't you?
But in most cases, right, they're just going to wipe out the domain. You can put a single page in, but...
What I was going to say is, if you are doing a penalty recovery, individual link disavowal is mandatory. Because if you just submit all of the domains, they will not let you out of jail. You have to go in and show hardcore effort that, one, you've tried to remove the links and list the links that you had removed or tried to remove, and when you contacted the site owner, and you have to disavow them individually.
I literally have a form letter, and I've never not gotten through on the first pass. And most of it has to do with blame. I make sure that the site owner puts it in, not me. And most of it has to do with blaming the last SEO. Really. It's just my style.
Yeah, but I generally make some effort to find a few.
Yeah, and how does that go? I remember the last time me and Steve talked about this was when Steve, you actually got it down to a percentage. It was like maybe 8% or something. Actually responded or did something.
Yeah. Oh,
It
it's
was pretty
less
low.
than that
Yeah,
sometimes.
I know it was pretty low. That Steve, no, but Steve actually tracked it all and put numbers on it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
The
remember it was
first thing I do is ping all the sites because you'll find right off the bat, probably 20%, the site isn't even up anymore on really bad ones.
Okay, so Bill, this came up early this week, and someone tried to, I think it was maybe Rob Woods or someone tried to. All right, so one of our members wrote an article in Search Engine Journal about prominence, essentially, of links, and that something to do with the higher up on the page, and they tried to once again bring up your favorite patent, the Reasonable Surfer, which I love, which I enjoyed. Because I've always enjoyed whenever I hear the Reasonable Surfer brought up, because I love Bill so much, but and he's so calm and so cool. There's only these few moments in life where you could see steam coming out of his ears and shit, right? And okay, so Bill, would you like to address the concept of a link higher up in the page having more value, and I guess secondarily address what the actual Reasonable Surfer patent was about?
Sure. Okay. So the Reasonable Surfer patent decides how much PageRank to pass along based upon a probability that somebody might click on a link. So if the link uses the text, really boring stuff, don't read this. Maybe people will click on that and read it.
Yeah. That's like that big red button saying "Don't press me" that people can't resist.
Right. So if you say something like terms of service, that's probably more likely people won't click on it. That's not going to pass a lot of PageRank, because even if it's at the top of the page, nobody really cares about your terms of service. They're not going to click on it. It passes almost no PageRank. So trying to do link sculpture on a link that says terms of service.
Bruce Clay's gonna be very upset with you right now.
Well, okay.
Go ahead, man. Just being a dick. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so so when the Reasonable Surfer patent first came out, it said, okay, we're going to look for things that visually distinguish a link from other text on a page. Is it underlined? Is it the same color or different color?
Or bolded, or prominence elements of any kind. Is it italic? Is it bolded? Is it, et cetera, right?
And then included that stuff about anchor text and whether or not somebody was likely to click on a link or not. But it was updated a couple of years after it came out to emphasize the fact that it was based on a probability that people might see the link and click on it. So if all your links are on top of your page, at the top of your page, that doesn't increase the probability that people will click on them. It just
right. So is there anything in there again, or do you personally think, and I'm going back to a bit of the page segmentation stuff, if you remember those, in content link that has some sort of a bold element, that has some sort of prominence element. Do you think those are the kind of things that might get looked at differently?
The patent doesn't say anything about proximity of a link. Location doesn't really matter. It doesn't say that.
Generally,
well, look at that. Like, holy shit, our viewership's just dropped in half. Everyone just ran off to their PBNs to start changing their links. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Generally, the higher links on a page are the top nav and the link to the homepage. The one that's in the logo. Yep. Then you've got your breadcrumbs, if you're lucky. Otherwise, you've got those damn banner ads.
Yep.
So actually, a lot of the time, the links right at the top of the page are the least important. It's the parts.
Well, right. Well, that's why I was talking about the page segmentation stuff there, Ammon, is because, when they started to take apart the DOM structure of the page and start looking at content as opposed to, templated stuff, I think there might be somewhere that something like that might come into play. Again, I don't know. Just it seems logical, but
But also, the links at the top of the page are often in a navigation bar or menu, so they're on every page. So of course they're going to get clicked more. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, also, how many times you link to a page, that makes a difference to them as well. You're showing them the importance of that page.
Right, but the Reasonable Surfer didn't talk about the internal distribution of PageRank being
Oh,
a matter
okay.
of
Right.
how much PageRank you might pass along to.
Oh, okay.
The prominence of the link, the likelihood that it might be clicked or be more important is, I think, what is that right, Bill?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like all PageRank, it's based on a probability.
All links were not created the same, you know. Like, that's just
Right.
a fact of
The
life.
original PageRank patent said if at some point in time we decide to use actual user traffic and behavior data, we'll switch over to that. But we're not using it at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that, Bill? Is it noisy and spammable?
Hey, you could get a click monkey.
No, no spammer would have ever thought of that.
I've even given you the link.
Do you know what's
Yeah,
funny
that's
about
the
that,
link
Bill?
right
Actually,
there.
since we're on this
That's the
whole
link.
implicit user feedback thing, is
Yeah.
the only ones who talk about implicit user feedback. So for anyone watching now or later, that's your your time on page, your scrolling, your bounce rates, all that stuff's looped into that section. The only people who talk about that are actual SEOs. You never hear a black hatter talking about that. Why? Because they probably tested it and figured out it doesn't work.
People click guys who write about SEO on places like Moz. And they'd
It's
seem
the
to have
SEOs with their little theories that
perspective.
haven't really figured it out. So.
Someone's pushing LSI.
Hey, don't you start. Don't even. Oh.
I'll back down. Okay, sorry.
Oh no, it was funny because I was on SEO 101 on Webmaster Radio this week, and I had to laugh at John Carcutt because he got caught up the other day. He was in I think it was Chase's group or something, and he was fighting the good fight out there about the LSI, and I got to put a popcorn gif in. I was like, yeah, it's not me or Bill. Right on. Have fun there, John. And he was kind of waiting for me to chime in. I talked to him on the, before the show, and I was like, I saw you out there. Deal with that, bud. He's like, yeah, I thought you were going to say something. I was like, no, man, your turn. You enjoy yourself.
Somebody brought up term frequency inverse document frequency.
Oh, yes, the TD. Yes, we saw that this week as well.
It's very no different in a lot of ways from the LSI argument. Because most people selling term frequency inverse document frequency tools have no idea what the document collection has within.
They don't have the corpus. They don't have the corpus, so how can your tool do anything without the corpus? Unless you have a server big enough to, but you're not Google, so hello. Right. You're just guessing, and
And when the tool makers tell you that they use a representative corpus to stand in for Google or whoever.
How is that humanly possible? Because unless you got as many servers as Google, you do not have a representative corpus.
It's like I've got a full scale map of the United States. I keep it in my backyard. Right.
Yep.
Yeah, one of those.
Go ahead.
One of those discussions Joe was talking about. Turns out their representative sample is the rest of the top 20 ranking for the same thing. Hello, that's not the inverse document frequency then, is it? This is similar pages. You're just doing keyword density.
Right. That would never give an idea of which words were the rare words and which words were the common words.
Exactly. And of course, if you overdo that, then you're over optimizing. Oh, for the record, folks, I'm gonna look right in the camera for all of y'all. If you're over optimizing, it's just another word for spamming. If you over optimized the keywords on your page, yeah, you're spamming. If you over optimize that title tag, you're spamming. Sorry, Joe, we love you, but regardless of what Gary said, it's literally just a Googler's version of spam. There is no
Optimization means
over-optimize.
to make the best.
Yeah.
Wow, I've looked, I've tried that. I've tried that logic discussion, Bill. Every time I get in this argument with people in these groups, and I put the actual definition out of Webster's dictionary of the word optimize, they going back to our dog thing the other day, you just get this.
Yeah, I just hate that phrase because it's like the saying too perfect, except too perfect is always actually just a slang thing for saying too much as if perfect when we don't want perfect.
Well, no,
Well,
that was the moment that I realized. That was
Well,
the
I won't
moment that I
bet you
realized, no
that's
matter how much I bitch, that Alan Blayweiss is actually smarter than me, because once you said that, he left you alone. Meanwhile, when you say shit to me, I keep bugging you because I'm just an idiot. I realized right in that thread that, Dave, he's got it right. When Ammon has you by the, like, you just stop. But no, not me. I just keep going. Right, oh no. All right, what other fun did we run into this week, guys? I'm sorry. Hey, Christopher, fucking Blair, Steve, you guys got any? Tim, you got anything you want to throw at these guys before I meander off in other directions?
I'm just picturing Bill having moved to California with a nice patio that probably overlooks the ocean, looking for reasonable surfers, but that's another
Dude, totally. I actually know what it looks like now because Bill went and his little views going for us the other day.
So the guys on paddleboards look pretty reasonable.
Yeah, they are. They are usually. And the guys with scuba gear out there, they're usually pretty reasonable.
Yeah. The guys surfing next to the oceanside pier with people fishing off of it, they're maybe not so reasonable.
Yeah, death wish. That's what we call it.
The most unreasonable surfer I ever saw was when we were on a fishing trip and went around the west end of Lake Superior. Storm was coming across Lake Superior. It was 42 degrees out, and there were guys with surfboards and wetsuits surfing the 4-foot waves coming in. and I thought, wow, that's pretty awesome that they're out there trying to surf in this. And then I realized there are people in Minnesota on Lake Superior who have surfboards.
Yep.
Who would have thought that was a target market?
Absolutely. I used to live on the shores of Superior up in Thunder Bay, and there are people who surf.
Well, okay, we don't totally jump the shark here. Steve, Garen, sir. Sir, Garen, sir. So I again, like you started wandering into some of the groups that I've been fighting it with, and now John Carcutt and some other people are coming in there, and I know Bill was in there for a little while and ran away screaming, and apparently Ammon's just a fucking masochist. So Steve, here's my question. Compared to your days, like you were a mod on Mania Forum back in the day, and when I met you and stuff like that, and stuff, compared to the level of conversations that you ran into back in those days, like Web Pro World or wherever, what are you finding? Like, are you more frustrated? Is it lower level, or is it the same kind of shit, different pile? Like, since you've been in there the last few weeks, what do you see? What are you seeing about the current crop of SEOs? Like, I guess is my question.
The biggest difference that I noticed between now and then is that you have a lot more people who have their own followings who are wrong. And so you wind up, as you try to correct somebody or explain something, having to fight not only one or two people who legitimately don't know or were taught wrong, but people who are selling product that says this wrong thing to these people in their groups. And so it gets really hard to have an open discussion because you have to deal with the gang mentality where, well, I mean, we've seen several of the new posts in some of the other groups where they're talking about, the horrible gurus, specifically referring to people in this group, and how they're all idiots because, they don't know what's going on anymore. And they use arguments like LSI as how the old guard are wrong, and they've got a big enough following that you just can't beat the echo chamber. So you just smile and wave and go, continue to be wrong. I'm fine with that.
Right, and like it's always been, 90% of these guys won't be around in 5 years. So but like, I know you haven't got as frustrated as I do, but I just got a pension for losing my shit. But like, but regardless of all that, do you think the knowledge level of the average human being in these groups, which are today's forums, do you think it's higher, lower, it's the same? Like what are you feeling after? Because I've seen you out there for a couple of weeks. So what are you feeling? Like, how do you see it all?
And it's been this way for years. It hasn't changed in just the last couple of weeks. I mean, for the last few years I've been out there doing this, the level of I don't know has never really changed. What's changed is the number of people reinforcing the I don't know.
Yeah.
And so it gets harder to challenge them because you don't have enough people who do know saying so, and the people who don't know have such a big crowd now.
Yeah, but even back in the forum days, like people used to reference stuff like Search Engine Land or Journal and say, "Well, no, this guy wrote this." There was a respect for the publications. I don't even see that anymore. I think it's more like you're saying. It's more these. It's these self-made guru people that everyone's listening to. They're not even looking at for external information.
But why would they listen to those places? Because a lot of the stuff that gets published there.
No. Regardless of the quality of them, I hear you, Terry. You and I have always been there, but I meant like back in the forums, people used to at least reference them like they have value. Now you don't even see that.
People
it's this big argument, internal argument, one guy to another. It's not even nobody even looks for anything outside.
David, I've lost respect for Search Engine Land, right? I lost respect for it because of the garbage that was coming out of there. Like, I told people literally, don't read it anymore. Don't have time for it because it's nonsense. Most of it. Sorry.
It's not that the software is new or, that there's tool sellers. We did have that back in the day. There was a guy called David Notestini or David Notesting, who created the Zeus directory building robot. This built web directories on your site for link swaps. It was, polished piece of software back in the day, and we are talking late 90s, early 2000s. And this guy actively was peddling this as exactly what Google wants. It wants links. It loves directories. After all, Google's got its own directory, which it did have at that time.
Well, we talked about this the other day. They used to actually recommend them once upon a time.
They never recommended this one.
And web position, doorway pages. They built a product on garbage.
Yeah.
Literally. I'm not as, how do I say it? I'm not as politically correct as you. I'm going to call a spade.
Dude, I don't think you can spell that fucking phrase.
I just wish Terry would tell us how he really feels.
Yeah, that's. No. Because when Terry fucking dies, there'll be like, because I live close to Terry, there'll be me and his brother and a bit of his family at the funeral, and I swear to God, I'll have it on his headstone. Here lies Terry Van Horn. He never told us how he really feels. Terry knows exactly. I'm paying for that shit. I will pay for that. So
you'll be wearing a Leaf sweater.
I'm fucking A, brother. And I'll be wearing the right color depending if they're playing home or away that day, because I know what I'm doing.
Going back to what Steve said, there's a lot of egos with big followings, like you said, and they're just pushing their own course, their own method, or their own service.
Yeah, but that's kind of grown over the years. When we were back in the forums, again, there was like Rand and everyone. We were all in Danny, and everyone was on the same forums. There was no Search Engine Land. There was no SEO mods. There was no fuck all. You know what I mean? And that's just been a slow process over the last 15 years that these cults built.
Yeah, but I think
now it's getting to the point that the cults are no longer even on websites like Moz. The cults are literally on YouTube and Facebook and shit like that. The cults are built on a different place and a platform now, and it's just, and they're isolated because all you have to do is create a closed group. before, like again, going back to 2007, Terry shit all over fucking Rand, because when Rand first came out with his tools, he said it was, oh, we've got this crawler and this database. Terry did a little homework, found out he was using the fucking API from Yahoo, right? And Terry's like, you're not. You don't have shit, bro. And he had to deal with that. It was a public thing.
Yeah,
sorry?
The men actually discovered it first.
Right.
So
Terry goes out on this site called Spin, takes a strip out of Rand, and everyone talks about it in public. The way it's happening now is it's isolated. That's why they create these private groups where only their own fucking zombies can get in there, and so they can feed them the shit in an isolated fucking format. You know what I mean?
You
and I
can't
think
question it.
There's no public debate. There's no public discussion.
But that's what's the problem. We went to a private forum as well. Like everyone,
because we're elitist, motherfucker. We said, fuck these people. We're just take our people and run away.
I think a lot of us just got tired of there was such a barrage of new people who were calling themselves SEOs that, a lot of us just said, I don't want to listen to this anymore. Let's get our own group and talk privately, cut down on the noise.
But I think that's what it is, though, not just the noise, but like you were saying, they've no respect for each other. If you were to call them out for being wrong and explain why, they'd rather hate you for it than address you and say, what, thanks for enlightening me. What they'd rather do is kick you out of the group and tell everyone in that group you were wrong.
The one person question that we
like
mentioned a few times.
They have thin skin.
Again, the one person we're talking about, I literally had a little chat with him privately on Skype earlier this week, right? And again, I'm not, because I'm the one who's been bitching about everyone shitting on each other in public. I'm not about to go and do that. I mean, so I had a little chat with him, and we discussed, because he came to me for some help on something he was working on. So I said, fine. And once I was done helping him, I said, well, let's have a little chat. And I expressed to him quite honestly that the market he's after is not the market I'm after. And I told him I'm coming. Like the SEO Dojo will be online the next couple of months, and I'm coming after you. Like, not after you, but I'm going to be a competitor of yours, what the fuck ever. But I said, dude, I am not after your people. The people you got are the ones who won't be in this industry 2-3 years from now. So you're going to make your money selling your stuff right now, and you have fun with it. You enjoy it. I don't care. Because what I want is to change the industry. What I want is to continue being a part of the future of this industry. I mean, like when Barry Adams or Gabriel Sanino or whoever gets highlighted in search engine roundtable about the community salute you bullshit, they come to me and say, Dave, thank you very much. Because when I started out, you were part of the life, and you and Terry and the Dojo and Steve and stuff. And that's cool. That's what I do it for. It's not about money and stuff. You know what I mean? To me, I really just give a shit about the future of the industry. So, I told that guy in question that, dude, I'm going to be coming, but don't worry about it. I'm not going to be competing with you because I don't want your people. I'm like, dude, I do not want your fucking people because they're not going to be here. 2-3 years from now, they're all going to be working at McDonald's or doing fucking whatever. I mean, you make your money now, you have a good time, but you're fucking, the target market you got is totally different than the one I want. I mean, I only want 300 or 400 people that are solid. They're going to be here in 5-10 years. That person, he wants just anyone who's going to throw $20 in his pocket today, which is totally different.
But it's for that reason, though, that they've gone into them private groups, so you can't correct them in public for being wrong because,
No, I know there's no point. They got a cult. It's a cult. It's a cult, and they're all just going to fucking shit on my head, and so I don't need the stress,
But that's where it's gone. There's not a lot of respect for each other either anymore. But
to an extent, that was true back in the day. If you went from an outside forum to the Warrior forum, and you tried to argue with whatever their pet theory was of the day, I guarantee you'd got the same kind of response.
Christopher, it was the exact same. That's why I always say to this day, my favorite place ever was Finn, because we were cliques. I mean, you had Bill and Ammon were over at Create a Site. You had the SEO book forums. You had the Search Engine Watch forums. You, God forbid, had Digital Point and fucking Warrior, and there was all these different forums. And Web Pro World is where Steve and Terry hung out and stuff. I mean, yeah, if you took some mantra from one of them and tried to walk into one of the other ones, you'd get fucking jumped pretty quick. Like, it wasn't that different. Like Ammon's saying, I agree. I mean, like that's why my name was the Gypsy, because I used to literally, like a fucking gypsy, go to every forum and just go make friends everywhere and try to stay under the radar, which worked really well. But no, it wasn't that much different back then. Like, you know, but the spin, at least we all would come together and argue shit in the comments like all day long from all the different factions, you know. So I liked it.
I liked spin as an idea early on. How it actually worked out. Do you know what? It was the first place where people started spamming it for links. Most of the forums, you knew your link wasn't going to count.
Well, that's all Aunt Smarty's fault. So.
They saw the power that Moz has, and they thought, oh, that's a really good idea. Let's create our own UMoz. And do you know what? UMoz is still going, and theirs isn't.
Yeah, I know it's always been cliquey, and it's always had that element to it. I don't deny that at all. You know, we used to, you know, before all this recent stuff started, you know, we dojo people used to have literally in our Skype chat room, you had to throw money in the swear jar if you mentioned Rand or Moz. So, and again, I love Dr. Pete and people over there, so I, you know, it's a little facetious, but
that is the problem. I mean, I never thought Moz was particularly insistent itself. Moz the company, you could post something.
It's the followers.
They would
passion for the followers, man.
But the
Moz, I never had a big problem with Moz. It was the Mozambies, as we call them.
Yeah,
it was the Mozambies that were the problem because they would just attack anything. You know, it's like as long as if you didn't agree with what they said, then you know.
Yeah. I did argue with Rand in a comment on something once. And somebody, you know, some nobody that had been reading UMoz for a while had a go, and it was Rand that stepped in and said, "No, this guy could kick me up and down the street." And you know, when it comes to SEO, but they still didn't apologise for having jumped in. You know,
that's the way it should be. And I've done the same. Like, you know, I mean, I've run community since 2010, and I can't count the number of times I've had to privately pull people aside and deal with drama and deal with that kind of stuff. It's part of running a community. You have to. I mean, because there's going to be people get too passionate and shit like that's got to be dealt with, you know, and you got to just put out the fires. And I think that's something that doesn't happen with some of the leaders of these new communities is they kind of just fire and forget it. And they just let it go as opposed to actually moderating, as opposed to, like, again, you know, you and Bill and obviously Terry and Steve, you guys have all been moderators. And so you know how to put out fires, how to deal with the dramas, how to use things so that it becomes a learning experience. Way more. Doc, whatever the hell you're doing to your wife right now, man. I don't know. Doc's doing something to his wife right now, and please keep your camera off. We don't want to see. Yeah, no, I think as a moderator of any of these communities, and again, you guys were doing it. You guys were mods of forums long before I started the dojo and stuff in 2010. So you guys know as well as I do that there needs to be a sense of that. And I don't think some of these guys, these younger guys that are leading these groups, are really moderating. They're not really stepping in there. You know what I mean? To keep things on track. And I think
as I say, some of them are real cults. I would certainly say that Neil Patel's group was one of the very first to have cult status, and Moz was right up there with it, and some others copied those ideas. There's now tons of cult. YouTube has created even more.
Yeah.
And the YouTube cults really get me because these cults don't even have to actually rank for anything. At least Moz used to turn up on SEO terms in search engines, whereas YouTubers don't have to.
One of the things that I was considering was this is not just an SEO problem. It's a cultural problem across everything. People are putting money into marketing and making other people think that this is great, and they know they only need a small group to make the money that they need, and then they're gone, and you know they don't care. So it's the same with clothing. It's the same with shoes. You know, whatever. This SEO world's just no different.
Yeah, definitely. You know, there are always those with a good product and those with a crap product but good marketing, and those who don't have good marketing but they have lots of it.
Well, that's what I mean. They just have lots of marketing, so it's just name recognition.
Yep, I 100% agree with that. But we kind of had that way back in the day as well. You know, to a large extent, you know, I've always said white hat was the first attempt at that. It was a meaningless definition. You know, we had black hat as separate to SEO. There was SEO, and then there was black hat SEO. You didn't need to specify white hat because anything that wasn't black hat was okay. We didn't have grey hat. We had degrees of black hat. And white hat came along as a great little tool. I remember some of the people that came up with that term first, and they couldn't rank for anything. But it was because the other guys were cheating. They were black hat. So white hat was always just an excuse for, well, we'd rank if it wasn't for black hats.
And it was just a way for people to put on airs and say, I'm more virtuous than these other guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
The
there's
virtue of not ranking.
I don't know what you guys talking about. I'm pretty sure I saw an email this morning that even some guy in India can rank his client on hundreds of keywords. So
He put his pointy white hat on.
You guys just suck. Wow, I can kill a conversation.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I'm out going to pick up teenagers at school. Have a great weekend.
You too, brother. Always a pleasure. So, okay, guys. So, is there an answer? Or we just keep holding on for the ride. Is there really an answer? You know, because I know Eamon and Steve went up my ass about this. So, is there an answer to anything, or we just hold on for the ride and keep doing what we do? Is the industry really going to change? Is it all just the same shit, different pile, or? All right, Steve's give me the head shake. Give me the head shake.
I've been in enough different industries that I have seen this in pretty much all of them. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing, whether you're in the jewelry business or the restaurant business or whatever, you are always going to have this core group of people who simply don't want to learn and they want to take the quickest path possible.
Well, you know, I mean, I've got a client right now, like I'm sure we all get clients like this, that they've been through 4 or 5 SEOs and they got none of my complaints. Terry's got one right now that Eamon shared with him and that spent 17 grand, Eamon, something like that. You know what I mean? Just to get screwed in the ass, and he's still looking for proper help. So is that just the way it's always going to be, Steve?
Yeah. There's the only thing that's ever slowed that down, and I hate saying this, is government certification. The problem is the barrier to entry. Any industry where the barrier to entry is 0 or near 0, this is a problem. You don't have this problem in professional industries that require some level of certification to do the work because people don't want to do the work.
Yeah, I came across the same thing in Texas. You cannot have engineer in your title, your job title, or on your business card unless you are one of the 100 maximum professional engineers registered in the state. Everybody else can call themselves technician or whatever, but you can't call yourself an engineer. They've been trying for years to put through something similar to use the term consultant, that you must be a professional consultant, and it keeps getting barely shot down. But they don't have that.
I'm sorry, Doc, but I'm just tired of all of you because even you were slapping me around this week.
Oh, that's
everyone's just like, shut up, Dave.
Problem is, Doc, I mean, like, for instance,
well, actually, I was mostly telling Tanya to shut up.
No. I'm talking when we were talking to John Carcutt or whoever the other night, and you're like, shut up, Dave. Really, shut up. Steve's been doing it. Aaron's been doing it. Terry's always done it, but it's just By the way, we have a new 70s cop show coming out. Me and Doc called Wise and the Ass. Yeah. He's wise. I'm the ass. So.
I don't know. I kind of like the double act you got there on your sofa, Dave.
Really, I'm just gonna become Chase Reiner and start hanging out with people who know less than me, so I always look like a hero. Because you fucking assholes are. God damn you, fucking people!
They'll still be asking you
Gotta
questions.
stop hanging around people smarter than me. That's all there is to it.
One of these monkeys got carried to bed by its wife. Guess which one?
Oh no, are you gonna take that shit? Oh no's gonna kick your ass, son. He coming for you. That's it. What are you? You're not protecting me here, bud. We talked about this. I told you Emma was gonna be here. You're all like, we were doing the boxing shit earlier, and fuck, whatever.
A monkey's bigger than you are, Dave.
Yeah, he's probably bigger than you too. I'm just not showing his crotch right now. All right, we just. Hey, Wes, what's up, man? Wes is smart. He just shows up at the end of the show. He knows better than bother with the rest of it.
Talking. Pretty good. How you doing?
Good, man. Good to see you. All right, so I guess that's that. What the hell? We're an hour and 20 in, so let's just get out of here so we can go back to the green room and have some fun. All right. Anyways, folks, let everyone know what you're up to the next little while and what you're doing. Ammon, you might as well go first. You're on my left, so.
Right. Well, this, other than the bogus hangout where you can catch up with what we've been up to this week, I'm probably doing much as I always do, talking too much all over the place.
Yeah, thank God for you. Like I said, and then got Steve going now, and now John Carcut's been going in these groups. Before I know it, I just shut the fuck up like we're in a local SEO group. Yeah, that's awesome. Bill, what are you up to for the next little while?
I was inspired by a Search Engine Land article recently that was about semantic search.
Oh, the one that Deb was talking about in the group. Nice.
Supposedly all-encompassing, but it wasn't. It missed lots of stuff. So
I was wondering if you're going to take up the mantle on that. I was curious because I was thinking about it, but awesome.
I wrote up an outline and I'm working on it. I also have another writing project I want to dig into.
Now, does your contract allow you to take it to Search Engine Land, or you got to put that through GoFish?
They like when I submit things to places like Search Engine Land if those other places link back to GoFish. They don't mind that at all.
I think it'd be a good place to put the rebuttal for sure, man. Sorry, what else you writing?
But I'd much rather publish on my own site. It's like,
yeah, I would too.
It's I already have a USB there. Why give it away?
Definitely. Blair, what are you up to for the next little while? I think we got to find a new format because we actually start the show that way. So what's the fucking point? You know?
Well, currently,
All right,
things
so
I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be
Blair,
getting a lot.
Blair, forget your home project and renovating houses. I got a new. We're gonna try this a new way. What is your favorite takeaway from the session today?
My favorite. That's a good question. My favorite.
I would go with the monkey, but I would go with Sorry,
I couldn't possibly say. There's just been a lot of good things talked about, but I would agree there's a lot of basically cult groups basically in SEO. In a sense, one person says one bit of rubbish and everyone agrees, and you have a cult environment for whatever someone believes, and then you have basically more rubbish coming into the industry all the time.
Nice. All right, Christopher. What? Do you have any moments from the day?
Oh no, it's Nuggets.
Oh no, it's Nuggets. Wow, that's good. Ammon, you fucking he just went up this son.
I think that's going to be my favorite takeaway.
Wow, that's impressive, man. That was impressive. All right, Doc, you weren't really here for much of it, but you did miss the intro, so you might as well tell us what you're up to for next week.
I missed most of the show.
Yeah, so you get to do the intro part, which is what are you up to for the next week?
I'm trying to finish up another module in this coding course I'm taking, and I'm trying out some a new plugin on one of my sites, thinking about putting it in use. That is actually, it's a very tight plugin for converting text to voice, but very compact.
Nice. Well, I mean, yeah, I'd love to see that for sure. As you know,
it's through Amazon AWS,
well, I mean,
and it does a nice
interested in that
job.
for sure.
So, from what I've seen so far, so I'm playing with that a little bit to see if it's worth using.
All right. Well, Kevin, you already in on the intro stuff. So, did you have any moments from today that you got you thinking?
Yeah. If you hadn't changed that up to like, what are we working on? I'm going to be working on keyword research for the next week.
Yeah, I had a feeling, man, and I was also thinking there's a presentation for you in there since you've been thinking about that stuff. I think there is something there because again, it's a conversation that's been going around, and that's when you're doing it, you're going to be speaking anywhere. That's what you want is those controversial things.
Yep,
those
it's
things
all good.
that people talking,
And I'm still doing my thing with Data Studio where I'm trying to set up our reporting for 195 people.
Yeah, have you got a chance to look at sorry, hold on. Supermetrics?
Yes, I've been poking around with that. The problem that we're running into right now is whether or not we have SEO or whether we have Google Analytics 360 because we're trying to scale it and we think we have it, but I don't know. It's just one of those nightmares from a standpoint.
360 crap. Like I was getting so pissed off with Google Optimize. Like there's got to be a mid-level. Like you can run 3 tests on Optimize or spend 120 grand a year. It was like,
well, and that's what we were trying to figure out.
There's got to be something in between here, man. Like I'm not spending 120 grand a year.
If let's put it this way, like I know I could ask someone in the organization if we actually have it, but I'm trying to figure out through tests, like poking around, if we have it before I go, by the way, do we have it? And when they say no, and they say, how much is it? I say, 150.
Yeah,
then the phone hangs up.
Mid-level program there, man, because it drives me nuts. Because a lot of the projects I work on are, it's going to take me 2-3 weeks to get any kind of statistical data that's of use, and so I can only run 3 tests at a time. It's a pain in the butt. So.
Yep, but we'll chat on that offline.
Terry, do you got any wonderful words of wisdom for us on the way out?
No, not really.
Excellent.
Not any more than don't throw gasoline on the fires. Not a good idea.
And Wes Sam, we're not asking you shit. You just showed up, so good to see you.
Awesome.
I'm sorry. Do you have any free advice on sites that are? Never mind. Just so you know, folks, don't even talk to this guy. I mean, what was it, 300 to 500 bucks an hour? Yeah, that's what I got to pay to talk to this asshole. Bring your checkbook if you want to talk to him.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Pleasure as always. Again, Search Geek Speak is starting up. January 21st will be our first show. We're going to be dealing with intake processes and how you start off an SEO project after the sales guy is done bringing it to your door. Bill Slosky will be joining us. Potentially Ammon. We'll see what he's up to. And Ross Dunn will be also joining us. So look forward to that. And until next week, folks, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Boys, say goodbye.